The only way to move forward in life is to give back. And I know no other who gives back more than my dear friend, El Presidente, C1 of Sherman College of Chiropractic, the fountainhead, the Harvard of Chiropractic, Dr. Edwin Cordero. Edwin, my friend, welcome to the Chiropractor's Edge.
Good morning, Dr. Jake. It's a pleasure always to be able to share with like-minded individuals and obviously an audience that really is eager to continue to grow and learn and move forward in this beautiful thing called chiropractic. So it's an honor and I'm blessed to be able to be part of this interview this morning.
I mean, your reputation precedes you. I mean, Sherman was at a place where Sherman was no longer going to be Sherman, and Sherman is now what Sherman is because of your guidance. And I'll tell you personally, I mean, that speaks volumes. But what really speaks volumes to me is when I was in Puerto Rico looking for food one night, you said, no. You don't want to go over there. You want to go over here and you want to have the mofongo, and you guided me in the way to eat. And so the way to my heart through my stomach. And I think you were able to see that. So you guided me then. I said, this is my guy. No, but I love you. You're a down to earth guy. I mean, you're a human being. You've had tremendous success in terms of being a chiropractor and in business. You've done so well. You know, your tenure at Sherman has just been, as I've been able to follow from a distance. Obviously, we never know the ins and outs of everything that goes on behind the doors because thankfully you can handle those things. All we get to see is the wonderful. We get to see the fruits. And I love that. So Sherman is in such a powerful upswing, and we're just teeing it off for the next generation. So that's pretty amazing. I love that.
Thank you, Jake. You know, a good leader makes things look easy, but in reality, it is chaos behind the scenes because it takes a whole village, you know, yes. And I have this incredible team of powerful leaders. And so we get together, we ensure that we cross the T's, dot the I's, and take all the steps that are necessary. But the objective is to make it look easy. So people go, oh, I could do that job. No problem. But in reality, it does take a village. And I have this incredible team that I'm so proud of that we have worked side by side now for 10 years. And it's been an incredible journey.
You know, and that's one of the things that as we discuss with our chiropractors, you know, we have a lot of docs again in the group who are incredibly successful. But we tend to hear kind of common themes. And one of them always is teams. Like, doc, how do I bring on the right team? How do I bring on the right office manager, the right associates? When, how, why? So many factors. I'm coaching a client right now who he's gone through 21 employees in 1 year. 1 year. And he was putting it all on them as opposed to himself. And we had to go over some ownership. Could you speak to that a little bit? I mean, having created, obviously even before Sherman, incredibly successful businesses and teams, because again, it takes a village. What is some counsel you can give some of our docs in the group when it comes to, again, the three tiers? We have docs who are just scaling, opening up multiple practices, multiple businesses, docs who are at that $1 million level and above, and docs who are just wanting to get there. But it all comes down to fundamentals of having a team. What's some counsel that you could give to those who would like to build an empire and build an infrastructure like you have?
Well, I think it's kind of individualistic. In other words, every leader, you know, does certain things that he or she is good at and some things that they're not great at. And so, you know, one of the things that I've always done is I've done this incredible SWOT analysis to myself. You know, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats that I see that I can, you know, be able to have a view of landmines that are coming in my path of leadership. And so therefore, when I know what my strengths are, I'm not going to go out there and be a weak leader by hiring people that don't have the strengths that I do. We want to be able to have a balance. So that SWOT analysis has been huge for me when I was in personal practice and obviously running Sherman College. And I think that what happens is that the number one thing that I think that has been key, at least to my success, and I can only speak of my success, is transparency. When you are transparent, people know that you're on a mission. And when you're on a mission, there's got to be a vision. And when there's a vision, it takes a village. And therefore, you as a leader can't be the person controlling everything. You have to hire the right individuals. You have to have the transparency. You have to have share the knowledge and wisdom of the vision and the mission of what the organization is all about. And then you have to trust those people to go out there there and do their job. I always hired people that were smarter than me. I've always hired people that know more than I do. And I don't say that to become a weak leader. It's just I know my SWOT analysis, where my strengths lie and where my weaknesses are as well. And I think that that's huge. I think that people are afraid as leaders that if they hire somebody that maybe has better qualities as a leader as they do, they then kind of think that that's not the right thing to do. On the contrary, I would say right now, out of my 8 members of my executive team, or 7, 8 members of my executive team at Sherman College, I would say that 8 of them know more than I do in a lot of different things. And so therefore, I'm the orchestrator, knowing my strengths, my weaknesses, the opportunities and threats, but I am transparent to understand, hey, I have to share these responsibilities and they need to take ownership. And you have to be quick, you have to be slow to hire and quick to fire. Because a lot of times you go, no, well, that person, and you give them 6 months, and in 6 months, it's really become a disaster. So if you find the right people and you're blessed to find the right people, you mold them, you give them ownership, you give them the vision, the mission, and you set them free to do what they do best. And then when you find certain weaknesses, support them through those weaknesses by encouraging with training or opportunities for them to continue to grow. So that's just been the formula that's worked for me. And I hope that that's something that can help somebody that's listening to us today and watching us today.
That's powerful. You brought up some very key points. Number one, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That's right.
You're in the wrong room. And I don't understand why with some, leaders in our profession and in business, why they have that mentality. One of my mentors had that mentality. I'd say, hey, are you going to come to Lyceum? Hey, are you going to come to Mile High? Hey, are you going to come to, BE? Are you going to come to our New Beginnings? And it's like, oh no, he's like, if I go there, to receive, I'm less than. It's like, absolutely not. Like, leaders eat last, and that transparency is key. And the other thing, Henry Ford said that. He's like, you're right. I'm not the smartest person in the room, but man, I got this silver button on my desk and I can push and get the smartest person there or on the phone. That really is true leadership. And I love that you went to the fundamentals. You went to the fundamentals. Everyone that I've seen that has a huge level of success goes back to the fundamentals. They don't go to trick plays. Oh, well, here's the trick play I did to hire a CA, or here's the trick play. No, it's the fundamentals. You have to know your own strengths and weaknesses. And you guys, I can post. There's some pretty cool stuff out there with SWOT analysis I'd love to post. But this is a fundamental to help you understand your core strengths and weaknesses, and that to allow others to understand who you are as well. Very, 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 very powerful.
Like I said, every leader has their je ne sais quoi quality about them that really makes them push forward. I've always been a person, and then maybe just my humble, beginnings and upbringing from Puerto Rico, but you have to be cognizant of the fact that you're in 3 situations. You're either in the storm and you're knee deep into it, you're about to go into the storm, and therefore you should be prepared and it shouldn't surprise you, or you're on the way out of the storm. And so if you mentally prepare yourself to know that you're either going into the storm, in the middle of the storm, or coming out of the storm, you're able to make better decisions, and you have to be prepared. And I think that a lot of people are just react instead of being proactive. I think that that's one of the keys that at least has made me successful, is that I've always looked at being proactive. And I'll give you a prime example. One of the things, when I served in the U.S. Navy for 6 years, and one of the things, and I was in a leadership capacity in the Navy, one of the things that I learned very humbly from the military was that you as a leader are a vehicle to accomplish the mission. But what happens when ego creeps in and you think that you are that leader that nobody can replace, and there's a mission and you go out and you get killed in the mission? What happens is that mission completely stops, because you as the leader were so in your head thinking that you're the only one that can lead. And so one of the things that I learned early on in leadership is you prepare other leaders. You bring up other leaders. If you get killed in a battle, if there's something that happens that you get something, God forbid, that you can't just control, you have brought up other leaders to be able to manage this. So during a recession or during these times, we, like you perfectly said, we already know that it's a matter of time. It's a matter of days. It's a matter of weeks before this happens. So you don't start to react now. You should have reacted already. Yes. And so therefore, what I say to those people that are just waking up to this is, okay, you're going to have to do whatever you need to do to get through this. But from now on, you got to start preparing the vessel. You got to start preparing the troops. You got to start preparing your team, because you're either in the beginning of the stage of the storm, the middle of it, or you're coming out of it. And either those three terms or at times, you can thrive through the process if you're prepared.
And so that real life principle for me hits home, where the very first time we took a vacation, instead of closing my practice down, and a lot of docs are like, yeah, doc, there can't be present. I'm on vacation, but I'm stressed because I'm not helping my people. I'm not feeding my team, and I'm not making any money. Well, when you've done it the right way, you can go on vacation and be present, because when you're at work, you need to be present. And when you're at home, you need to be present. So that whole getting killed in action, I take that as taking you out of the practice. I've been out of town the last 2 weeks. We have been able to take care of our people the right way because we have the systems in place to do that. I love talking to one of our dear friends, Dr. Frankie Hahn. And Frank, we always have this running joke with Frank that whenever Frank leaves town, his business makes more money. So we always joke, Frank, you got to get out of your practice more often, man. But he's created the vessels and the systems, and it's on the principle. He's a principled chiropractor who focuses principled systems. So that is critical. And the only way to scale is to have those vessels in place. Like you said, if you're out, then the whole mission fails unless you've done it that way. I love that. And again, you guys, if you're listening, that's a fundamental. Michael Jordan always won by fundamentals. LeBron, Kobe, it's the fundamentals, and it's the honing of your craft. Now is the time to be, a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of blood in the streets is what they call it during recessions, where a lot of opportunity comes to buy. And I hope that we have opportunities that, you may want to buy real estate or other things that light you up. But now is the time to bet on yourself. Now is the time to bet on who you are and to invest in who you are to become an even greater influencer in chiropractic. When it comes to betting on yourself, President, what are some of the things that you have done to continually put into practice what you're teaching right now? How do you bet on yourself these days?
Well, it's kind of interesting because when I first started, I had this mediocre, mindset. I come from an island. I'm the first graduate of any type in my family. I was the first doctor. And so I went out there so fearful and very mediocre. And so here I was, this incredible chiropractor with incredible hands, a good way to communicate. And I was just like the epitome of a phenomenal chiropractor, but I was in my head. And so for years that affected me. And so I started changing that by obviously getting coaching and getting trained and learning from the best of the best in this profession. And by being at the feet of those that have already done it successfully, for me not to have to reinvent the wheel, but be able to learn and not mimic that person, but use my skill set, my personality, the person that God has created me to be with the gifts that I have, and learn from that wisdom and apply it to who I am, as in this particular case, a presidente. And so to me, I'm constantly reading. I read at least 3 or 4 books a month, in leadership, in transparency, in opportunities, in entrepreneurship. And I'm always constantly learning, because you never reach it. It's kind of funny. I was talking to a doctor the other day, and the doctor says to me, well, he's a young chiropractor. And he says to me, well, Dr. Cordero, you've been so successful, and you've done this and you've done that. And, you started in practice, and now you're at the top rung of the ladder when it comes to, there's only 20 chiropractic colleges in the United States. So there's only 20 chiropractic presidents. So you're at the top of the top of the top. Are you ready now to retire? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm just starting to thrive from all the experiences and the wisdom that I've been able to obtain and be blessed to share, to have poured into me by people that I respect. So I'm in that constant growing stage. You said something a few minutes ago that I think it's just key. Work is work and family is family. And you have to have this incredible balance. And I've been very blessed to have an incredible supporter called Edwin Cordero, my wife, and she keeps me balanced. My kids keep me balanced. My grandchildren keep me balanced. But when I'm at work, it's work. And when I'm at home, it's home. And creating that fine line is so challenging to many. So I constantly am working on creating the balance. I'm constantly working on my entrepreneurship mindset. I'm constantly working on me. How do I get better? And more importantly, I'm constantly trying to learn learn more about this incredible profession. I am not an expert in philosophy, but I love the chiropractic philosophy. And so therefore, leading the number one chiropractic school in the world when it comes to principles and philosophy and the art and the science, I'm constantly learning. So I'm just this open vessel that I continue to let people pour into me and very humbly learn from those and identify who are the ones that are really trying to BS me and who are the ones that really are trying to share that incredible wisdom, because they have this incredible sense of legacy. You and I, Dr. Jake, and everybody that's in our situation, we want to leave a legacy to leave this profession better than it was handed to us. And so therefore, that's where the preparation comes. That's where the long nights and sleepless nights and the hard days are there. That's why we worked as hard as we do and travel all over the world and go to these meetings and share with individuals and learn from individuals, because we want to leave a legacy of this profession is better because Dr. Jake Hansen and Dr. Edwin Cordero and so many others have poured into this profession. Therefore, the outcome in the future is going to be we're still thriving because people like us poured into this. And I hope that people that go after us continue to do that for the benefit of our profession.
Wow. You taught some incredible principles there again. And I hope you guys, for you listening, you're seeing a pattern here. And I can see where that young doctor is talking with you. He's like, Adam, man, you're there. And you're like, well, yeah, I'm like 10 steps up on the ladder, but there's like 100 more for me, man. Like, you don't see that? We don't see it because we haven't been through what you've been through. So, but you talked about getting a mentor, getting a coach, and having and being mentored, and then being able to help mentor others, and then learning. Leaders truly are readers. Yes. What we think about, we bring about. It's very easy for me as we do coaching calls, as we go to events, as we talk to docs. We went to some great events. I'm like, hey, let's I would love to do some networking. That's some collaboration. Oh no, doc, we're going to go to a movie. I'm like, oh, okay. And there's a time and place to go chill out. We just watched Top Gun a couple of weeks ago. Great movie. Mm-hmm. But those are moments. We see other people that live there. They should be on mindset creation mode. They're on, no, I have this video game I just love to play. And again, there's nothing wrong with having hobbies. We need to have hobbies. It's critical that we have hobbies. But when it's the only thing that consumes you outside and you're not filling yourself, it's easy to see, well, when an opportunity comes to these docs, they miss the opportunity because they are focused on something else. I find people like yourself that grab opportunity immediately. How do you know that an opportunity is the right opportunity? Because you know what you want, because you're constantly reading, getting counseled, receiving counsel. And then you really hone in and make crystal clear what your vision is and your mission is. So when opportunity comes, you're like, nope, not for me. Or, ooh, that's for me. Mm-hmm. So it's absolutely critical that we understand what do we want in life. And when you feed it, that's so important. So you guys, again, these principles, getting a mentor and reading and understanding, very, 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 very powerful. So you have, when it comes again to being present, you're present in all the things you do. And again, we only get to see things from one side of the line, but I do know that you have some hobbies. What are some of the things that you have found, obviously, at your level of success as the world's number one president and representing this best school on earth? Mm. What are some of the hobbies you've done that help you recoup your mindset and help you rebuild?
Well, it depends on the stage of the journey, on the journey that you're on. At the beginning, I like golfing, and not because I wanted to be away for 4 hours from my office, but I like creating interactions with individuals that I chose to play with. That was the time that they would share their wisdom, and we would be able to share our challenges. And so it gave us 4 hours to be on the golf course. Yes, the game was cool and it was great, but it was for me, it was never about the game. I mean, a matter of fact, I sucked at the game, and but I enjoyed the fact of being able to share with people that were successful, people that could be open, and we can just transparency to be able to say, hey man, I'm having these challenges in practice. What do you think? And we would just share this information. So therefore, selective people that I played with, and therefore not the game. It was more of the fellowship time, spending time with these individuals. And then from there, I went to doing things that, well, it's so many hours being away from the office. I need to do this. And then I started just getting into spending time with my family and with my kids. But what happens is when you spend X amount of time with your family and your kids, you always continue to serve at the highest level. I serve my wife because my wife has sacrificed so much for me. I serve my kids because my kids sacrificed while I was going through school and starting my businesses. I never saw my kids. And so therefore, when I became successful, my hobby was spending time with my kids. Let's go travel. Let's go. Let me educate you by taking you around the world to different places to learn different cultures. And so I spent that amazing amount of time with my kids. Now I'm doing that with my grandchildren. So every time I get a free moment, part of my hobby is I got to go check out my grandchildren. I have 5 grandchildren. 2 of them live in Spartanburg, South Carolina. The other 3 live in Longwood, Texas. And so I'm intentional in trying to spend the hobby time with my grandchildren and just enjoying. And believe it or not, and it was just funny, I was telling you right before the show started, I love gardening. I love doing yard work. And I don't know why, but it just gives me time to be quiet. I put my headsets on. I put a podcast on. I'm out there cutting the grass. Not because I can't afford to have somebody do that. I just enjoy the physicality of it, but I also enjoy the mindset time to be able to focus on something. So I'm constantly multitasking. And I think that some people think I'm crazy when I'm doing that. I know my family does, but to me, it's like, I don't want to waste time. I want to be as effective as I can. And if I have to cut the grass and listen to a podcast and then take a shower and then go spend time with my grandchildren, or go out to the golf course and spend some time with trying to grab some wisdom and share some wisdom, that's what I do. So the multitasking keeps my brain going. Other people and leadership may do things differently.
That is such great counsel. You love to garden because it fulfills you. It gives you something. It makes you happy. You could have someone else do it. And we talked to a lot of our docs about that. We have found that a lot of high net worth individuals will spend a lot of money to save time. Mm-hmm. Like, what can I do? I'm gonna spend money so I can save time, because time is the currency that is that cannot be replaced. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Poor-minded people will spend a tons of time to save very little money. That's right. And I just received some counsel last night. It was, don't paint your own office. And I said, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, if you're doing it because it fulfills you and you have joy in painting, well, then totally paint your own office. Right. But if you're doing it to save money, well, there are other things that you should be doing. So being able to delegate, and again, that brings it back to being a leader in teams, finding someone who says, painting offices or painting lights me up. That's all I think about. I love it. I get to express myself. It makes me money. Then hand it to those types of people. And if there's a hobby that you enjoy that can bring you happiness and it can fulfill you, I have zero problem when people do that. I get concerned when it's that money mindset, because you're wasting so much time and you're wasting so much money on something that could have been done by someone else far better. And again, that's why it's so critical to face teams. When it comes to selecting the right team members, as you do, your own personal SWOT analysis and whatnot, what are some of the things that you've looked for in your personal life? And obviously, as Presidente of Sherman College, there's a need that needs to be filled. How do you find the right people for that?
So it's kind of interesting. About, I would say maybe 9 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, I was did not know anything about behavioral patterns in individuals. And so I'm a very high directive individual. When you come to talk to me, give me the 5 bullet points and let's have that conversation and go. But yet, if that's my personality, but your personality, Jake, may be more relationship. And so when you come to speak to me, you want to tell me about your children and your dog and your cat and your vacation. And I'm there like, give me the 5 bullet points, because I have 20 things that I need to get done. And so we started doing these disc analysis at Sherman College with our employees, existing employees, obviously executive, all the way from top down to the bottom. And eventually now we're getting to the point that we're going to do it with the students. And what that does is it demonstrates the individual that's going to come work for our organization, or that we're going to pair up with somebody else in a different department. What are your behaviors under normal situations, and what are your behaviors under the stressful situations? So what people don't realize, that you may be a person that's directive or director like I am, and I handle myself in a certain way when there's no challenges. And when I have the challenges, I kick it to high gear, and I maybe do things that are different. So one of the things that we do, everybody that gets hired, we don't use it we use it as a tool, not the only reason, but we look at their behavior, the way that they can handle their behavior under pressure and not. And these DISC tools that are out there are amazing because it gives you an idea. So therefore, once we took the DISC profiles, we were able to sit down and go, okay, this department is led by somebody that is a data person. So therefore, if you put somebody that's a director in there, either it's going to balance it out or it's going to throw it completely in chaos. So one of the tools that we use is that there's simple ways of you finding out about these DISC analysis. They're very simple. They're very inexpensive. Believe it or not, at Sherman College, we used it because we thought it was a great way to plug in people with their skill sets and how do they handle things in those departments based upon, the behavioral profile of each individual.
That's huge. So you guys, for those that may not know what that is, several people, Tony Robbins has one of the most successful ones and we use his to understand our team members. And again, the reason isn't to control them through that. It's a tool. I realize that every one of my team members, one is driven by money, one is driven by her vision, one is driven by she doesn't have to work, she wants to give back, and one is driven by sports. And we were able to identify these key points. Yes. And so I talk to, even though we talk to, we all hold each other accountable, but I may approach someone a little bit differently. And it's very interesting to see when I talk to my office manager like I would my CA, yes, even though it's both respectful, why is it that I get so much more engagement here and understanding where I wouldn't have if I said it the other way? Well, it's because it's their world. Their whole life experience has got them to this point. So being able to understand people is critical. So then you start to see patterns. Yes. Then you start to see like, okay, now these people think this way in general, they think this way in general. But when you're very interested in your team and you put your team first, that is what makes it super successful. I have so much admiration and love for you for things that you have done for our profession. We really are keyed up for success. Like you said, for as many schools that there are, we are the David in the world of Goliath as far as just numbers go. But in principle, we know who's going to win this war. And it's going to take all of us by being principled chiropractors who understand that we can make changes through the masses through principled chiropractic care. Thank you so much for these words of wisdom of how to find mentors, how to lead teams, how to be present, going back to the fundamentals, being able to truly how to develop your skills through reading and leading, and just how to truly be the best person that we can be by going through these strategic patterns of success. Thank you so much for your service. We love you. I cannot wait to see where the future takes you personally and to see the upswing that Sherman is absolutely in right now and our profession is in. I did not go to Sherman. I went to another school. And at the time, the school I went to, it was great. I thought it was principled at the time. It was somewhat principled, but just the lessons learned. So that is why we give our love and our time and our treasures to Sherman. We are, I think, pioneer regents, and we're so excited to be on board. We'll put a link again below here, you guys. So if what El Presidente has said today resonates with you, if you are concerned about the future, which you should be, and if you're just waking up to this, saying, oh, wait, I didn't know there was a problem. I didn't know we're going into a recession. I didn't know that chiropractic's not in good hands. If this is a good wake-up call for you and you don't have the time to give your money, send your students to Sherman. We'll give you connections on how to do that. But thank you for what you've done. Thank you for what you do. We love you. We appreciate you. And we can't wait to see what the future holds.
Well, Dr. Jake, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you personally for always supporting Sherman College and supporting myself. And I'm grateful to have friends that I call friends, personal friends like you, that I can count on. And I know that the profession is in better hands because I see individuals, young individuals like yourself that are taking the bull by the horns, making no excuses, learning the process, but more importantly, teaching others the way as well. So I'm grateful for our relationship and our friendship. And I pray and I hope that every single person that's watching us, that you open your eyes, you open your heart, and you open your minds. You know what? You're put on this earth for a reason, and the reason you only know why. And therefore, take advantage of that. Don't fall asleep. Wake up, use your skill sets, make this world a better place, and continue to create a legacy for the future generations as well. So thank you, Dr. Jake, for the opportunity, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye now.